So today we're leaving Malus after staying here for about 9 days, I think it was. So we're just heading out and we're heading up towards the Rhine. We're going to go with another boat, which is a little bit reassuring. You've got to make quite a bit of information. You've got to make sure they know you're coming because you're going into like a commercial river. So this lock is a guillotine lock, so you can see that back wall is actually lifting up slowly, very, very slowly. Still going up. We are going under the bridge, under the guillotine. Very appropriate for France. Get a little wet. Alright. You've got some rowers ahead. Just got the umbrella out just to cool us off as it's quite warm. This is the wee port of Nefer, which you can stay in just before you go up the Rhone, or down the Rhone. But we're going to tuck off down this little canal up ahead of us and spend the night down there. So we're at Keb, I think it's pronounced. A little port. It's quite a strong current. I don't know if you can see in the water there, it's quite strong. Our boat is just right in there, in that gap there. So we're going to stay here the night and then move on into the Rhine tomorrow. So we will be travelling with David and Kathy on their boat. They're Australians, lovely people, and so Tony's just giving them a hand to turn their boat around just because the current is so strong here and there's very little steerage when you're going slow with these boats. And the reverse is hopeless with the steerage, so we're just trying to get ourselves ready to go back up the river today to go to the first lock this morning. Perfectly executed turn, fantastic.
Yeah, we'll come to each other.
Fantastic, that made it much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where it could all go to hell in that basket.
So we're just travelling down the little canal that feeds us up to the lock for the going on the Rhine. This has got the current, so we're just going very, very slowly with our revs, but we're travelling along at about 8 kilometres an hour. And once we get to the end of this, we'll have to wait for a little bit for the lock. Of fun. Our friend's boat's having a little bit of problems, so we've just tied up and we're just towing them down the river with us, but it's all good. Our first big boat that we're encountering on the Rhine. It's quite a biggie while we're under tow. Quite impressive. This is coming up beside us. Sorry, trying to drive and film at the same time, not good. It's pretty flash. These two guys come out of the lock. We're just heading into the lock. We've just dropped Jazz off. The boys have been working on her while we've been travelling along. And they've sort of managed to work out a way to get her to stop the screaming, and we're just heading into this big lock coming up here now. We're just watching the boat ahead of us, and they've still got their rope, I don't know if you can see it up on the wall way up here, and they cannot unhook it, which could cause quite a bit of a problem for them. You see they're trying to get it unhooked, and they've got a loop at the end of their rope, which is so they can't even pull it through. So I don't know what's going to happen here. It's going to be interesting. Oh, the man managed to get his robe off. You can see this is like just insanely tall. This must be about 17 meters, I think. Crazy. Doors are just opening. It's a guillotine type, so they're lifting straight up into the next lock. It's been a long, sort of boring ride, but very easy, and we've got the whole lock to ourselves. Massive one, just Jazz and Martin for sure. It's quite incredible that every single one of these locks is different. Obviously this is another floating bollard, but it's a long way up. So we're just coming up to our third lock of the day. We've been just floating out in the river for about 40 minutes while this big ship comes through. It's just coming out, and we're just heading into our last lock for the day. So today's job is trying to sort out our curtains. If you remember from last year, I did all the curtains, but there was a few problems we had with all the domes, because everywhere you buy domes, they're slightly different sizes and nothing seemed to work perfectly. But we've managed to put the domes on our cover for the outside on the front window, which is really good. But now we're just trying to fix the domes for these ones, because some of them weren't able to be clipped. It didn't work, so it's the frustration of today. So this morning I am going to cut up the topper pad that we had for our bed while the kids were here, because we're not going to use that again, and make it into 2 singles for the forward cabin, just to make those mattresses a little bit nicer to sleep on. So they're not quite the right size, it's a little bit pinched, but we're going to make it work. These men are putting cobbles back in, which is all by hand. Amazing. They'll last forever. They're so deep. It's that big church.
Stay, even for a moment, that's okay. Even if the sky
And a lovely little cafe right next to the little petite Venice. We're going to have a coffee and croissant for breakfast. You can catch a little boat and do the little pretty Venice. Very beautiful.
we can talk it over, that's okay.
Well, we found her. Here she is. Bit of a ride. We'll go around the other side of the roundabout and see what she looks like. This is a music music. We've had a lovely evening at the music recital thing. It was really cool. We sat with Kathy and Dave and had a drink, and they had dinner, and I just had a beautiful ride back in the evening light. It's just stunning, lovely and cool now. Back to the boat, and tomorrow we're going to head on up the Rhine. So we're just about to leave Colmar. We've been here for 3 days. It was just so lovely, and there was a big music evening on last night that we wanted to go and see. So we're heading off down the canal back down towards the Rhine today. We're only going to go about 17 k's or 16 k's, and we're going to stop in Greenbank for the night so that tomorrow morning we go out onto the Rhine, head towards Strasbourg, and then we deviate off to get into a smaller canal again. Lots of that stringy weed, just trying to avoid hitting any little patches as we go ahead so it doesn't block the propeller. Tony's just clearing out the weed hatch.
Hey,
Great big clumps of weed.
are you drifting in?
Stopping for a wee lunch on the side of the canal. Bloody magic.
I'm holding tight the words you wanna say.
We have finally stopped for the night. It's about 7 or 7:30. So the lock was not working after 7 o'clock, so we're stuck. We can't go through the next lock. So we've managed to find 2 little spots, but there's this swan who's defending his chicks, and he's been charging our boats. He's all fired up and stroppy as, having a go at their boat. There you can see him.
I'm a place for you to sing your heart away.
It is coming to give our boat a rev. He's not very happy. Just a little nudge. He's quite beautiful. If we'd tried to orchestrate this, we couldn't. We've got a goat way down there with a bell around its neck ringing. The swan is still attacking Dave and Kathy's boat, and we've got this little bugger of a bird in a tree. So just on the other side of this bank here is another creek just in there, which they let water from the canal into, and then they suck the water up, and way over there in the distance you can see the big sprayers, and they use it for irrigating all the crops. And you can see them vaguely in the distance. They're all across this plain are all these irrigated sprayers, and it's all from the canal. So the boys have decided that we are going to go across the Rhine to the town opposite in Germany, and David and Kathy are going to see if they can get their boat fixed there. We've managed to get out of the marina. We found somebody in another boat who could get us out the gates because it's all locked up and there's no capitan to get us out. So we're just heading for a walk. I'm going to walk down here and go across the river and then head on up to the town on the hill. So we were down the marina way down there, and we just walked all the way down, and we're on the bridge now, and we're walking up over there to the castle. Well, it's a Catholic church, I think.
We can talk it over, that's okay. I promise to the love we own is here to stay.
over the bridge on the Rhine River. So this half is France, this half is Germany. We've just been and visited Germany. Ooh, it's quite stormy out there. We've spent the day walking around and just all snuggle bugged up in the boat. Tone's making me a lovely coffee. I've been editing. All good. So I've just fueled up and we're saying goodbye to David and Kathy, as they managed to organise getting their boat taken out of the water on Monday to get it fixed. And we're heading off out into the Rhine. This is another little port just after we've left, which is really on the river. You'd be a bit concerned if it ever flooded, but nice little port, very tidy. We're a little stressed. We've just come into the big lock, and the phone numbers that we've got didn't really help us at all. The one for this lock, they wouldn't answer the phone, and so we've come in and they've been talking to us over the speaker, but we've got no idea what they're saying. Bit tricky. And there is a massive big cruise ship in here as well. So we've sort of hastily changed signs because we thought they were telling us off, and we're now going down. So it's working, but we don't know what we're doing. It's shocking. It's a bit scary. But we have to admit we've made 2 up-ups with no VHF because we can't contact the guy. I've been trying to ring and they don't answer their phone. And we didn't have a chart, which is only a tiny little bit, but it's of the German side with the Rhine in it, and that's been a little bit tricky. We've had photos from somebody else's book, but it's still just not quite the same, and you've got none of the contact numbers to ring them, and it's just tricky. So 2 muck-ups we've done really, but we managed to get through, so that's good.
From the bottom of the ocean floor.
We just stopped to have lunch. We're off the Rhine River now and onto the canal, and just found a lovely spot to green bank, just very peaceful and just beautiful. So we've had a little afternoon kip, and we're going to head on our way. Deer in the paddock. Oh, so cute.
Wondering what the sound was, and we've got a guy with a motor on. Very cool.
Do you want it? Yes, I do.
It's been wonderful, so peaceful and quiet. I've done a lovely painting this morning and just relaxing. So I thought we'd just mosey on up a couple of locks. We've got 4 days to get to Strasbourg, so we're just taking our time, and because it's really only about a day's worth, but we'll make it last for 4 days before we hit the big smoke and pick up Mum. To show you how clear the water is here. It's absolutely lovely, lovely clear, and there's lots of fish. It's great. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.